So what would you say is the most powerful word in the Bible? What would you say is the most important, the most valuable, the most life-transforming, everything kind of word? Any guesses? Jesus, of course. That's a good Sunday school answer. Thank you. Go is another good one. Grace is another good one. But this word that I'm thinking of occurs over 1,400 times in the Bible. It's a word that if you embraced it, that if you fully surrounded yourself in it and wrapped yourself up around it and in it, it will transform everything. It can free you to fully follow Jesus with all your heart and your soul and your mind and your strength. It will free you to fully claim all of Jesus' promises of the abundant life right now, right where you are. It can deliver you love and joy and peace and hope, even in the midst of messiness of life. So I'm going to give you the whole sermon here in this one word. So if you listen to nothing else I say, remember this word, and you can get up and leave. Go get yourself a cup of coffee. It's okay. Remember this word, this one little, tiny, powerful word. Let. Let. Let there be light. Let my people go. Let the Lord be glorified. Let the earth rejoice. Let the little children come to me. Let Jesus Christ do a good work in you. Let his mind be in you. Let your light shine before my people. If any want to be my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. Let anyone with ears listen. Let is a word that transforms. Let is the word that is a gate that opens the power of God's love into our life. Let assumes that heaven is crammed full of good gifts that the Father wants to give to his children. Let gives God permission to do his work and do a mighty thing in us. Let opens us up to God's grace so that we can hear God's call. God calls us. Let frees us, and let sends us. Let sounds really easy, but it can be hard. I learned the power of this little three-letter word some years ago when I was working at a camp, and the camp director gave me a plaque as a gift, and the plaque said this. And this is it. This is the actual plaque, wood burned in there. Let go and let God. Let go and let God. When I asked the camp director why she gave it to me, she goes, you worry too much. You stress too much. You try to control things too much. And you know what happens when you do all of that? You're blocking God's power to work through you because you're trying to do it all on your own. So yeah, those words stung there for a while, but I keep this by me. I keep it near my desk. I look at it nearly every day. If you ever come into my office, you might see it on a shelf. You might see it moved around in different places so that I can see it, because I need to be reminded that if I don't let go, and if I don't let God's grace, God into my life, God will never do anything in me or through me. You hear that? If I don't learn to let go of the stuff in my life and let God do his work in me, God, nothing will ever happen in and through me. In order to live by faith, I have to let go and let God. So let go and let God is what's happening in today's scripture. While walking next to the Sea of Galilee, Jesus sees some fishermen. And they're in a boat. They're a little ways off the shore. They're busy. They're busy casting their nets, but they're not distracted. They're not so distracted that they don't hear a voice from the shore calling out to them. Come follow me, and I will make you fishers of people. And when they turned to see where that voice was coming from, they saw him. And he matched that voice and those words. There must have been something in that voice. There must have been some kind of power in those words. Could it be? Maybe it was. It is him. They knew it. They knew it. From that moment on, they were no longer fishermen, but fishers of men and women. You know what's really the most amazing part of the scripture is what comes next. Actually, it's the very next word. And this word occurs twice in the text. Do you see it? The word is immediately. Immediately. Immediately, Simon and Andrew let go of their nets and followed him. Immediately, James and John left their boat and their father and followed him. Immediately. No thinking, just reacting, just responding. I wonder if they took time to even row the boat back to shore. Or do they just leap out of the boat and swim to him? To him, the hope and dream of all the Hebrew people was standing just a few yards away, and he was calling them. Can you imagine that? What's amazing to me is they were not clinging to their nets. They were not holding on to their hang-ups. They were not frozen by their fears, their concerns, their what-ifs. They were not worrying about how they were going to make a living. They were not worried about their father's business. When Jesus called, they immediately knew that the very best thing for them to do was to drop those nets and follow him. And let God have it all. To let go and to let God. That's the definition of faith, if you ask me. Trusting in God more than oneself. That's the kind of faith I want to have. How about you? And then those disciples dropped their nets, followed Jesus, and they began an adventure full of meaning and purpose and hope that literally changed the world. That's the faith I want. I'm convinced that Jesus is still calling his disciples, still calling you and me to let go of our nets, to surrender ourselves from all the things that hold us back, to be his disciples, to follow him, to access all the resources of heaven, to learn what he has to teach all that we have learned, to do what he did, to discover a better way of life, and to ultimately live in eternity with the creator of the universe. What do you need to let go of? What are you still holding on to? That's your net. That's your net. Name it. Name it in your heart right now. What is it that you still are holding on to that is keeping you from wholeheartedly following Jesus? What are you afraid to lose? Is it money? Is it prestige? Is it power? Is it comfort? Is it your job? Or maybe it's some persistent sin in your life that you've grown comfortable with. Or are you holding on to the past or some grudge or a pain or a worry? Is it financial concerns? Health concerns? Is it, like me, a need to be in control, a need to be perfect? Or do you take things too personally all the time? Whatever it is, name it. Because that's your net that you're clinging on to. And when you cling on to this net, and when you hold on to it, it's holding you back from the abundant life. And it's holding you back from all of the power and promises of God. And Jesus is inviting you and me to let it go. Let it go. No, I'm not singing Princess Elsa's song. I know you're thinking it. Janelle, you in here? You can lead it if you want. Let it go. Let it go. Can't hold back anymore. Let it go. Here's the truth. Oh, there it is. There it is. Here's the truth. You're not going to like this, but here's the truth. When you insist on clinging to your net, when you insist on clinging to your nets, you are insisting on your way, insisting on your way. And that's what blocks God's power in your life. So to illustrate this, I want you to try something for me. You don't have to move. You don't even have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. It's okay. I want you to imagine you're like me. You're holding a fishnet. So I want you to hold your hands out. I want you to make a fist. And both hands really good and tight to where it actually kind of hurts. Because doesn't some of the stuff that we hold on to kind of hurt sometimes? That they're painful, but we just are holding on to it with all of our might. Now, here, I want you to imagine also that I have a big bag of awesome. Right here, big, huge bag of awesome. And packed inside it is all kinds of awesome things for you in your life. All the blessings, all the power, all the joy, all the hope, all the meaning, all the purpose. Everything that you could ever want is packed into this bag. And I were to bring it over to you. What do you have to do for you to take hold of it? I heard it over here. This is the smart side of the room. Let it go. So I want you to imagine yourself letting it go. Drop those nets once and for all. You've named it in your heart. Drop it. And let God give you this big bag of awesome. You see, you can't receive the full power and blessings and awesomeness of God if you're still holding on to your hang-ups. Either you're going to hold on to your nets or you're letting them go. You can't do both. So be honest with yourself. Whatever those hang-ups are, confess it. Confess it in your heart. And tell yourself the truth. Yeah, these things have been more important to me than God, than my faith in God, than living God's way. And ask God to let him take it away. One more thing that you're not going to like. You ever wonder why the world doesn't believe all of the promises that we proclaim that God brings to his followers? You ever wonder why the world doesn't believe it? It's because we are living as if we don't believe it. Because we are trying to do it all on our own. We're trying to be in control of it all. We're trying to handle everything ourselves. We're not allowing God's grace and power to work in our lives. We're not trusting him more than we're trusting ourselves. And the world sees that. And go, I can do what that guy's doing. Letting go and letting God set the direction and set the course is not easy. So coming back to Princess Elsa. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I'm not joking. It's a good movie. Good songs in there. So let me tell you a little bit about the movie. Princess Elsa, after years of hiding her unique gift to manipulate snow and ice, Princess Elsa decides to run away. In a terrible act of rebellion, she finally unleashes her power, her own power, and builds a winter wonderland, complete with an ice castle, living snowmen, and she's singing that great song, Janelle, Let It Go, Let It Go. But what Elsa didn't realize is that when she unleashed her power, when she let it go, she created for herself a winter wonderland. But for those of you who have seen the movie, what else happened? She unwittingly plunged the kingdom into a winter wasteland. You see, when she decided to let her gifts go for selfish reasons, it wreaked havoc on the kingdom and on everyone in it. Letting go can be dangerous if we're not letting God. Letting God is picking up our crosses, is kneeling down, is washing feet, is standing up for the oppressed, is sitting with the broken, reaching out to the forgotten, welcoming the outcast, turning the other cheek, forgiving our enemies, bringing good news to the poor, proclaiming release to the captives, recovering of sight to the blind, letting the oppressed go flee. Simply, it's following Jesus. Look, dropping our nets and following Jesus is not easy. It requires another little word: faith. Faith. Do we have faith or not? In fact, letting go is a demonstration of faith. Being a Christian requires faith, doesn't it? Every single follower in the Bible had to have faith and demonstrated their faith, that radical trust that even though things look bad or things look scary and things look miserable all around, there's this faith that God is still good, that God's ways are still good, and that God has good things in store for those who love him and for this world that he so loves. So one last thing I'm going to say that's really bold. You're not going to like this one either. If every choice and every decision that you and I make, if every one of them doesn't require any faith, are we really following Jesus? Are we really following Jesus if we don't do things that stretch ourselves and push ourselves out there? So what have you done lately that requires faith? What have you done that forces you to not rely on yourself, but to rely on God's power? What if the goal of faith, what if we could let go of this notion that the goal of faith is to be successful in whatever venture that we try, but to simply be faithful? Then things seem easier, doesn't it? When asked, why not teach Sunday school? Why not begin tithing? Why not start telling the truth, or forgiving that long-time grudge, or praying out loud in public with other people, or going on that mission trip, or joining a long-term Bible study, or starting a personal daily devotional, or talking to that homeless man, or volunteering in our community? Where is God asking you to stretch yourself and to trust him? What have you done that requires more faith in God than yourself? That's letting God lead you to the abundant life. So I want you to hear the good news. I want you to hear the good news now. Jesus Christ died and was resurrected so that God's power and grace might transform you and the world. Listen really closely. If you got a pen or paper, you should write this down because it's great. There is nothing in your life that God's grace cannot overcome. And there is nothing about your life that God's grace can't make new. Do you believe that? Do you have faith in that? Do you have faith that there is nothing in your life that God's grace cannot overcome? And there is nothing about your life that God can't make new. Just let go and let God. Does it mean it's easy? Of course not. Does it mean we're going to have tough choices? Does it mean that we might have to change our lifestyle or do something that might make us a little uncomfortable? Of course not. In fact, to let go and let God can be hard. It takes trust. It takes faith. But Jesus never promised that being a disciple would be easy. He only promised that it would be worth it. So in the end, don't just sing, let it go, can't hold back anymore, without singing, take my life and let it be yours. Take my life and let it be yours. Take this rebel heart and make it yours. Take my life and let it be